Hey guys, so I know that there have been a lot of new users recently kind of posting that they're feeling lost or frustrated. I am also very new. I only created my first form in Dubsado like 2 days ago. So I just sent off my first proposal, contract, and invoice to my first client in Dubsado, and I was super pumped about it. So I just wanted to kind of make a little video showing you how I did it because there were certain parts that I was confused on even after watching a lot of the tutorials by Becca. They're just like little tiny things that weren't quite tied together from the individual tutorials. So let me kind of show you how to at least do that very simple part. So first thing to know with getting started is if you go down here to templates and you click on it, it shows you these options here. You kind of need to set up a lot of these before you can do any functionality. Like you have to make your building blocks before you can do anything else. So for example, so the ones you need to do are forms, um, packages. I would do that if you have common packages that you sell, and then tax items, because you can't really add these on the fly. So for example, if you go to tax items, I just added the sales tax in Texas. So you just go to add new item, you type it in, hit save. Go ahead and just do that because you will need it when you're building your invoices. And I broke it. Delete. Okay, well, ignore that. So anyways, add your sales tax if you live in a state that makes you tax services like I do. Then go to templates, and I'm going to show you the easy ones before I get to forms. Go to packages and go to add package and edit the name right here, whatever you want it. Like I did basic website. You can do website with blog, e-commerce website, etc. Let's do that. E-commerce. And then go to new line item. And here, oh, it didn't save it. Oops. Check mark. Yes. Okay. Item name. I'm just going to say website design and development. You don't really need a description. Quantity 1, price, whatever you want it to do. I am new, so I am doing pretty low prices. And then add the tax right here, and then hit add item. And hit save and exit. This will show you, once it loads, e-commerce website right here with the tax already in it. So go ahead. You don't have to do the packages if you don't want to. You can build your invoices as you go on the job, but might be worth your time to just do a couple of ones that you know you repeat a lot. Then go into forms. So I'm just going to show you the things you need to do if you would like to send in one single email the proposal, a contract, and an invoice, which Becca shows that very briefly in a video. I think it's one of the proposal videos. And I thought it was super sexy and streamlined and amazing, and I wanted to do that, but she didn't quite show how to put it all together in that video. So this is how you do that. Basically, from this forms page, you just need to create a contract and a proposal. For the contract, I'm new at this, so I had to create this from scratch, which was kind of hard. I added together a bunch of different templates that somebody helped me with and that I found online. But anyways, you probably already know how to make the individual forms because the videos show that really well. But it's drag and drop. You grab what you want and drag it over here. This is a text box. I did use some autofill things. So the date, I went to invoice or client. I think it's here. I think I went to, no, here, date, duh. I went to date, I did medium date because I don't want the time. I want like a kind of spelled out nice looking date. So I click that and it puts this for you. Client name, I went to client and full name. Company name, I went to client and company name, etc. There is actually something that I want to change here, and it's this little part because I want to use, oh, never mind, I already did it the right way. So yeah, I used some other autofill. I think the way I got this was by using package. So you choose package, assuming you made those packages, right? And you can choose the package that you want to use. And I got rid of this select because don't want that. But anyways, go to package and you can do it that way, but you don't have to. So let me get rid of this. Okay, so create your contract. If you already have one written up, your life will be much easier than mine was. And then create your proposal. And I think this is one of the most important parts that I was a little bit confused on. So when you make your proposal, I decided to do a quote style proposal. Not in some of the videos she shows where you have the different packages and the client picks what packages they want and it kind of builds the quote for them. I didn't do that just because I just wanted it to be simple for this one. So this is a text box and I used some autofill, the same ones that she used in the video. So you go to invoice, and this was invoice item names and amounts. And then here I did invoice total and created my invoice. Couple things. So in the video she said there's a yes or a no, and like yes is supposed to take them to the next step, which is the contract, and no is supposed to email her. I don't know how the system knows what the client is answering here. I still did it this way, but I feel like it's kind of just for show. But the important thing is when you're building your proposal, if you want it to be all in one with the contract and the invoice, you have to click on show contract right here and choose which contract you want to be attached to this proposal, and then click on show invoice. I usually do 50% down and then 50% upon completion, so I created a little payment schedule for that, but you don't have to do this. Because you can add that later onto the individual job, but you do need to click show invoice and show contract on your proposal template. So that's one thing that I didn't quite understand from the videos. Now that you have your contract and your proposal, you can go to jobs. And I've been testing this, but I'll show you a new one. So go to add job, select from clients, because I already entered my client as a lead, because I thought you were supposed to do it that way, but really it's more centered around jobs. So I'll go here, select client, and I'll choose myself. Start date, I just leave here you put the job title, so web design, I tested this a couple times. Start date is today's date. For the end date, a lot of times it can be really hard to know when your end date is, depending on what kind of service you provide. For web design, definitely it's almost impossible to know your exact end date, but I'm just going to pick one that seems realistic, because your invoice due date is going to be tied to this. So I picked the end of the month, which is maybe ambitious, but okay, so this is the job dashboard. So a couple different things. The first thing you want to do, in my opinion, is to apply your invoice to this job. So go to click on add invoice, and then click on the invoice itself. Here, the title, this is the title, I think this is the title that the client will see. So I'm going to say web design invoice. and this will show the date for you. Okay, so here you can either individually add things in right here, new line item, or if you made packages, you can just pick some packages. I'll just do this and this. And I already have the tax added on there. So let's say this is my invoice and I want to do, I'll show you how to, since I made the payment schedule, I can just choose this right here and it'll do it for me. I'll show you that. So right here, it breaks it up into two. And this is due today and this is due on the job end date, which I haven't figured out if there's a better way to do that last payment due date, but that's what I'm doing. But if you haven't pre-made your payment schedule, you can go here to new due date and you just go to relative. I said after applied to invoice and I do 50% down. And then for the final, I'll say after job and 50% down. Okay, so that's all you have to do for the invoice. So first thing when you get in your job is apply your invoice for this client. The second thing you want to do is, and the reason you want to do the invoice first, I think, is because I use those autofill fields in my contract and my proposal, so it's gonna get that info from this invoice that you put on this job. So I do the invoice first, and then go to contract, and I'm gonna pick the contract that I want on this job. And it will give you a preview so you can make sure everything's looking good. So all this blue stuff was stuff that it auto-filled from the job date, the client info, right, the lead info right here. This is from the invoice. All this blue stuff is, I had some autofill fields. So this is, looks amazing. I hit add. I don't hit send yet. I exit out because I want it to all send with my proposal. So now the last thing that you do is you go to emails, forms, and obviously I guess you can automate all of this with workflows, starting with the lead page or whatever. I just haven't gotten that far yet. So go to emails and forms, go right here, go to add new form, and I'm going to pick web design proposal. So here's my proposal. It's pulling info from the invoice that I created, and it looks awesome. So go ahead and hit add. And now that you've already done added the invoice and the contract to the job, I'm going to hit send for this proposal. So it shows you the email form, and you can customize it. You can change this. You can use a canned email if you already have those set up, but I don't. Hit send. And now it shows right here that it's sent. So I'm going to log out so that I can show you, when I go into my email, it'll show us like the client view. So this is what it looks like. It does say from my name. But it comes from mail@dubsado.com. So the first time I tested it, it didn't go to my spam folder, but it went to my like updates or promotions folder. So you might just want to tell your client, like, heads up, I sent that over to you, keep an eye out for it. It might not go to your inbox, that kind of thing. So you can click on this link. All right, and it's so beautiful. So this is what I wanted. I wanted the proposal and the contract and the invoice. Another thing I should add is the first time I tested this, it only showed the proposal and the contract. It didn't show the invoice, even though I had already done everything right. So what I realized is I just need to go into Dubsado and hit refresh, like hard refresh, and then resend it. So if you're making changes to things, I would just don't freak out if it's not showing everything. You might just need to refresh Dubsado and then send it. So this is what it looks like. Your client can download anything as a PDF. It looks just the same as what we looked at already. I'm going to hit yes, and then submit. Here's the contract. So let's pretend like I'm filling all this stuff out. reading all of it. I added some little initial parts, and then right here is where the client signs. Hit agree and next, and you get a notification when they submit that contract. And then it takes them to the invoice. So here's the invoice title, all this stuff, the date, and then they can either, excuse me, they can either pay the whole thing right now, or they can pay in installments. One thing to note about this Pay Now button, the first time I tested this, I hadn't set up my Stripe info yet in Dubsado, and it didn't have a Pay Now button because there's no way for them to pay me. So you do want to set up your payment info before you actually send stuff out to clients, so you can take their money. So, but yeah, they can pay now, just the installments if they want, and that's about it. So I hope this was helpful. It took me a little bit of trial and error to figure out how to put it all together. And I basically, create yourself as a lead and a job, and you can just test it, test it out on yourself first to make sure everything is looking perfectly before you send anything to a client. But yeah, I hope this was helpful. Have a good night.